Sony and Amazon's new Cinderella is my favorite take on this classic fairy tale. And what's more, it's my new favorite musical. I know, I'm as shocked as you are. I thought the trailers were a bit cringe, and I don't usually like jukebox musicals. I had to force myself to watch this, but I was enchanted. Imagine my surprise that I was absolutely blown away by this musical, which I enjoyed as much as another musical I didn't have high hopes for, The Greatest Showman. That's right, I'm comparing it to The Greatest Showman. In fact, watching both these films, I felt like I was watching live performances. They have that theater magic, and I don't usually even believe in theater magic. I usually think it's a lie, but here I felt it. Now, as you might recall, The Greatest Showman had a very real controversy over its glamorization of P.T. Barnum, not the type of guy you should glamorize whatsoever. And what do you know? It turns out Cinderella has a controversy too. You see, when I tweeted about how much I loved this movie on Friday, I was really surprised that the overwhelming response was about Camila Cabello and comments she made a long time ago. Comments I'd never heard about. However, now that they've been brought to my attention, I agree that she made a huge mistake. I also see, though, that she's taken responsibility for that mistake and not only apologized, but taken action to make amends. I got tweets from those of you who say you still don't forgive her. And I've also gotten, I have to tell you, even more tweets from those of you defending her. While Cabello made this mistake a very long time ago, it was, I believe, only discovered recently in 2019 and is therefore fresh enough and clearly still not resolved. This is a very bad situation. I don't know if it ever can be resolved, considering the nature of what she did. So it could affect this film, which is why I chose to address it in this review. Some of her fans felt it shouldn't have been brought up, but I mean, it's up to you how you feel about her, and if it will make you watch or not watch this new Cinderella. I felt watching the movie, it would be a slam dunk smash hit. But now, knowing about this controversy, I'm not so sure. And of course, there's also the very weird aggressive hate for James Corden, which I still don't understand, who produced this film, but only has one real scene in the film. So if you don't want to, this is a difficult situation because the movie is just so good. But I particularly the Camila Cabello situation, I certainly understand where people are coming from. That was a very bad mistake that she made. So sound off down below, make your case down below. And now I'm going to review the film, which, as I said, is absolutely extraordinary. As I said, I did not have high expectations for this new Cinderella. I thought it would be like High School Musical or The Descendants, popular with musical theater and Disney Channel fans, but not for the rest of us. But the reality is, I think it would be hard for anyone to resist the charms of this new Cinderella, unless you have an issue behind the scenes. All right, so I'm just going to focus on the film. So it was originally intended for theaters, but I think it's actually a perfect streaming film. Perfect, because you will want to watch it multiple times. I still have plans to watch it again this holiday weekend. Are they slightly diminished a little bit by this controversy? I have to be honest with you, a little shadow is cast over the film for me. But it's so good, and the rest, and Cabello's excellent in it. I'm going to talk about her in a moment. But the rest of it's just so good. I'm going to watch it again. And I want a sequel. I think this movie sets it up perfectly. But again, we'll have to see how it does in the ratings. I want a sing-along version, and I'm going to get the soundtrack for sure. So I can listen to Idina Menzel sing Material Girl on a loop. Wow. The songs here are really clever, and I don't want to ruin any other song selections because they're such great surprises. You're like, that's the perfect choice for right now. In many cases, I like the versions here as much or even more than the original versions of the songs. And the dance numbers, so clever, so incredible. It's like opening a bunch of gifts watching this movie. It was just a delight. And again, I don't like musical theater, and I was in heaven. Now, we all know that Camila Cabello, Idina Menzel, and Billy Porter can sing. but I had no idea that Nicholas Galitzine, whom I thought made a very strong impression, a lot of the cast did in that movie, The Craft Legacy, but I had no idea he was such a good singer. And Doc Brown, I looked it up. His name is actually a reference to the Doc Brown, which just makes me love him even more. He's the town crier, and he's a revelation. Oh, I loved it every time he was on screen. He was phenomenal. Doc Brown, Galitzine, and Menzel are actually my favorite performers in the film. Billy Porter is, of course, fabulous, but I didn't like his song selection. It was just a personal choice. I just didn't care for the song. And they've already shown most of his cameo. I would describe it as a cameo. He narrates the opening of the movie, but he has one scene, and they used it, because it's so fabulous, they used it a lot to promote the film. So I was scooch disappointed there wasn't more Billy Porter. But his being the Fab G is absolutely perfect. He's not only spot on in the role, but his casting recognizes how important and central the LGBT community has been and still is to the fashion and beauty industries. That was just chef's kiss. I loved it. So much of this movie was chef's kiss. This new Cinderella has a lot of strong messages. Many of them do focus on women because it's Cinderella, right? That's the story. But they really made it very sophisticated with, the evil stepmother. I thought that was great. But I want to point out to you that there are a lot of great male characters here as well, like Pierce Brosnan in a surprisingly large role as the king. And they have their own character arcs as well. This is a film which is also about inclusion. So in that vein, it's truly for everyone of all ages. I think that while adults will love this, I think that children will really like it too. I think it's age appropriate for all ages. It's just great. As for Cabello, she has a lot of ballads. I'm not a ballad fan, so I didn't particularly enjoy that many of her musical numbers. But she easily carries the film with a very charismatic performance. She looks fabulous as well and has a lot of personality. And she's asked to do comedy, and she does it very well. She's actually more like Disney's Belle than Cinderella. I thought she was phenomenal in the role. This whole movie feels a lot like Beauty and the Beast. Both versions, animated in the recent live-action one. And while there are a lot of modern elements, it still feels like a fantasy. You still get your fairy tale on. And it's a world you don't want to leave, which is why I will be watching it again and why I want that sequel. Kudos to the hair, makeup, costume design, and production design departments, who all do a wonderful job. But the real credit here, overall, belongs to Kay Cannon, who has managed to craft something even more fun with broader appeal than the Pitch Perfect movies, which she wrote. She reimagined Cinderella as a story of empowerment for Cinderella as well as many of the other characters, male and female. There are so many clever elements here, from song choices to story moments, that, as I said again, it's a true delight. Two of the ones I really want to share with you, just to give you an idea of what you're in for, is that, for instance, Cinderella designs her own perfect dress. I thought that was such a nice touch, and it's done in a really good way. And she doesn't, some of you might be like, eye roll, barf. No, not at all. This is done right. And for instance, she doesn't lose her glass slipper, but instead throws it to get the palace guards to stop following her. There is a lot of girl power here, but none of it alienates the male audience. Everyone, again, it's about inclusion. Not only telling you to include people, but including, practice what you preach, right? It's an inclusive film itself, so everyone can enjoy the fun and the messages, but also the fun. This movie is so fun. In fact, I have a challenge for you. It's available at no extra cost on Amazon Prime starting this Friday, and I dare you to just turn it on. Just turn it on for 15 minutes, because I'm like 99.9% sure, and I'm sure some of you will be like, "Oh, what's the 0.1%, Grace?" Well, I'm telling you, it's really good. Unless I understand there are personal things that you can't get past. I understand that totally. I think that's an unfortunate thing this movie's going to have to deal with, but there's no getting around it, which again is why I included it in my review. But it's an ensemble film. It's incredible, and I really don't think you're going to be able to turn it off. I think it's one of the great surprises of this year, ever, was streaming. There was a fad of live, this isn't live, it feels a little live at points, but live musicals on TV, and the best was Grease, and this is even better than that. It's really, really good. So that's my review of Cinderella, again, which hits Amazon Prime this Friday at no extra cost. Please try, it's so good. Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and tell me, by the way, put down, so if you don't want spoilers, don't go into the comments, but I'd love to hear your favorite musical number as well. So mine, again, is Idina Menzel with Material Girl. I'd say that has to be my favorite. And then I also really liked some of, then my second one would be the first big number, I think, from Galitzine in the Palace. That was really good, up into the big announcement of the ball. So that's just to give you some idea. And then I think my third would be All the Women at the Ball. Their big number together. That's, I think, the order of my favorites. Oh, I had such a good time. I can't wait to watch it again. All right, share those thoughts down below. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.